Hey guys, welcome to my channel. I do not have an official name. I do not know exactly where this channel is going to take me, but we're here and I appreciate you guys. And you guys, I appreciate you guys more than you know, because me doing this right now has taken a lot. I don't know if anybody suffers from imposter syndrome like I do. I don't know if people have a voice in their head that tell them, no, you don't need to do that. Like, nobody wants to hear you. Like, just a very self-defeating mentality. I do, right? And you probably would never think that because social media, I look a certain type of way, right? And this is, I think, what the essence of my video today I wanted to be about is breaking down why I feel like I have done that to myself, right? And I have a backstory. Because I think people see me and perceive me a certain type of way because I've done short films, skits. I do like little, I do things online, right? And you have a certain perception of me. But I want people to know more of who Courtney Ketchum is, right? And so I think that's what I want to do today. But I will have a moment of vulnerability. So I appreciate you guys in advance for being here and listening and allowing me to get through this specific hurdle, because I know when I look back on this video months, years from now, I'm going to be proud of myself because I'm going to say, wow, look how far I've come. I pushed myself to become this version of a woman that I wanted to be, right? So welcome to my channel. For those who don't know, my name is Courtney Ketchum, and I've done Facebook, YouTube, Instagram, short stories, skits. I worked with a lot of great creators in the LA area, but I am a designer. And I don't know if a lot of people know that because I don't necessarily talk about it so much, because that was a part of my dimming my light, afraid of success, afraid of not being the person that, not showing up as who I wanted to be and failing. So I don't know if it kind of doesn't make sense even when I said it. That's crazy. I'm not showing up to be the person I want to be, but it's like, of course I'm going to fail. Okay, I'm going to think about that. But I feel like that certain things have happened in my life that have made me gain an inferiority complex. And I don't like that. And I think that a lot of times when people want to be better, they want to change, and they want to become a stronger person, they have to revert back to what's happened to them, like past traumas, and they have to start healing. They have to start the healing process, and they have to learn how to love themselves again, and how to sit with themselves again, and how to admit good and bad within themselves, right? And then you have to propel yourself to want to be a better person. You can't, I had a comment the other day, or I had read a message the other day. It says you can't have one foot in your old life and one foot in your new life and expect basically your new life to work. I don't remember how it went, but you get the gist. And so today I wanted to tell you guys a little bit about my backstory. So I was raised in Sacramento, California, the Northern California area, and then I moved to the Bay Area, mid-teens, right? I'm gonna just give you a summation. But when I was 16 to 26, I was in a mentally abusive relationship. And I know some people are probably mentally abusive, that's not really a thing. How did you not, and just, it's hard to understand if you've never been in this situation before. So to kind of give a little clarity to it, I was 16. I've never had a boyfriend before. I think I maybe had sex twice at the age of 15. I didn't know much, right? And then all of a sudden, a man comes into my life who I'm thinking is amazing. We're saying we love each other a week after we started dating. He was in a wheelchair when I met him. And I know a lot of people, that's kind of always a hang up, whoa, what happened? But when I met this man, he was 20 and I was 16, and I was working in a clothing store. I was working in a shoe store, and he came in. I helped him. He sent me flowers. I was like, "Oh, if you want to meet a nice friend, like hit me up." Then a week later, we're saying we love each other. Stuff like it was a very whirlwind relationship. Like it just happened like that, right? And through the years, right? It seemed like every odd year, 357, like every odd year, it was just always something bad that was happening. But we were together for 10 years. So from when I was 16 to 26, we were in a relationship. College time came, right? Like, and I wanted to go to like an all black college, but I decided not to. I decided to stay locally so I could be with this person. And I feel like that's a regrettable decision that I made within my life, because I could have expanded myself so much more. You know, that the opportunities were endless probably. You don't know because I didn't do it, right? But it's like when I was in the relationship, I didn't realize how controlled I was. I didn't realize the effect that this one person had on me, because my whole life was this person. What I ate, what I wore, how I looked, how I conducted myself, where I went, all these different factors were controlled by one person. And I know people are going to say, how, like what? That's when it's called grooming. Grooming is where you have a person who purposely or maybe non-purposely, like knowingly does something to make a person feel inferior to them, or sways them to become more of a person that they want, right? So in my situation, my ex-husband, my ex, he had a lot of like insecurities within himself. He went and got in a wheelchair at the age of 16. Like, you know, he was 16 and I met him at the age of 20. He had already been through a lot. Like, he was supposed to have a professional career, like in baseball. Like, there was a lot going for him, right? And I think that certain things happened in his life that affected him. And so all I remember, because there's so much that I've blacked out over the last 10 years of like being separated from this person, that like I just kind of don't remember. And all I do remember is that he had so much anger in him and so much resentment of what his life should have been. He just had so much anger in him that his pleasure came from making me mad, making me sad, making me cry, making me feel like suicidal, making me feel like the dirt of the world. Like, he just wanted to, he was a bully. He got pleasure from causing me pain. And I can factually say that because he literally told me that. He's like, if I hurt you more than how do I say it? Like, if he could cause me more pain than he was feeling, then he got relief, if that makes sense. So because he was hurting so much, he wanted to verbally and physically make me feel pain, because then he would feel better. And that's the definition of a bully, right? So we lived together. My parents had got separated for a point, but now they're back together. Amen. And we had lived together for 7 years. He had lived with his parents. I moved in with his parents. We were together for 7 years in their home. I slept upstairs. He slept downstairs. It was just a very controlled life. And looking back on it, I don't know how I did it. Like, I've healed so much. I don't know how I was told I can go to the gym for 30 minutes. Go. I don't know how I was told this is what you're going to eat. This is what you're going to do. He would tell me that I was fat, I was ugly, nobody would want me. Why are you getting your hair done? Who you around? Why are you getting your nails done? Why are you taking care of yourself? Why are you doing all these things as a woman? Like, why are you doing all this? He did not want me to look good. He did not want me to feel good. He did not want me to become like the woman that he saw me becoming. And I think because that made him feel like he was losing grasp of me, right? So I couldn't have a job where I worked around men. I worked in a plus size store, and I don't know if logically I picked that job because they were hiring and I wanted to work there. I don't know, or was it because I knew I wouldn't get slack from him? Like I wouldn't get no, oh, who did you run into today at work? Because I know when I worked at a bank during our relationship, it was, oh, who came in and made you feel some type of way today? Who complimented you on your hair? Why are you getting your nails done? Like, oh, who comes in there to see you? Like, it was a whole bunch of stuff. It was just, my relationship with that person at the time was so controlled and so mentally toxic that we fought every night. We fought from like 11 p.m. to 3 a.m. Like, it was always arguments every single night about everything. There was even one time where I had to pick him or my parents. I had to pick him or my horses. I had to pick my life or his. Like, there were times where he would pull the parking brake when we're driving and we start swerving, like, because he wanted to die. He wanted to kill us. He did not want me to, I don't know. It was just so crazy. So with all that being said, we end up getting married. He never asked me, like, if I wanted to be married. It was just more of a, oh, pick this ring, like, oh, pick a ring out. Like, I'm online, pick a ring out. You know, it wasn't romantic. It wasn't nothing. It was just, and even in my mind, because we went to church every single Sunday, in my mind, I couldn't say no. You know, I was just so brainwashed into thinking that this was my life. This is what was going to happen. I had to deal with it, and boom. And mind you, like I said, this man was in a wheelchair, so we didn't have sex. You know, we had, he would give me physical pleasure, but that was all that I had, you know, and I never stepped out on him. I never wanted to be with another man because I didn't know any better. I didn't know what sex was. I didn't know what love was because I'm on the phone with him. I'm on the phone with my ex for, 30-minute breaks. Anytime I have a free opportunity and I'm not at home, I have to be on the phone with him. I could never hang up the phone while talking to him. He had to get off the phone with me. It was just so bad, right? And so, minus all that, we got a house, and he put it in his name and his mom's name. Okay, and I didn't know finances back then, and we started working on it every day. I would give my checks to him. Like, any money that I made, I would always give it to him, and he would allot me so much money, like for gas, food, whatever, right? And all of our money went into the house. And then he literally would just tell me, he would ask me for my opinion, but he wouldn't really give a fuck about my opinion, if we're being honest. He literally would tell me, I'm just asking you your opinion so you feel included, but I really don't give a fuck. That's what he told me, which is crazy now that I think about it. And then, like I said, he asked me, to marry him, I guess. And I spent 2 years of my life I just dove into planning the wedding. And that was a $60,000 wedding. It was 250 people, like 70% his people. I was making all the invitations. I was doing everything. I was just so immersed in creating the wedding that it's like I forgot how unhappy I was within the relationship. And so the wedding happened. It was a blur. It went by so quickly. Like, I don't even know if I want to get married again, only because it was just I wasn't happy. Like, even on my wedding day, I cried, and I don't think I cried because I was happy. I think I cried because I didn't know I didn't have to do it. I could have said no. But I thought I was marrying my best friend. So time went on. We were married for 5 months. And one day, it's been multiple days. Like, we had been living in our house we had for 5 years. Like, we have been renovating it, right? And we had lived in our house for a month at that point after our wedding, after our marriage, right? And it was Easter, matter of fact, and we were sitting at dinner, blah blah blah, and Easter dinner, and we lived down the street from his mom and dad, so they were really close to our house, and so we were there eating dinner and stuff, and I don't know if he went through my phone. Something happened, right? And I think maybe I left my phone at our house. So he went down there for something. I think he went through my phone and he saw messages of me texting my homegirl and talking about her boyfriend. And So then all of a sudden I'm like, okay, well, where is he at, right? And so I went down to the house looking for him because he wasn't answering his phone. And I went down to the house, and all of a sudden it was like a scene from Friday where the pastor is throwing out, Miss Parker stuff on the front yard, and you're like, oh my God, like, what's going on? It looked literally like that. Like, this man was throwing my clothes outside on the ground. F you, I hate you, da da da. And mind you, he's in a wheelchair, so he's getting all this shit done. Like, he's just like throwing stuff out. He's pissed, whatever. And I'm not understanding. So his family come to restrain him. He throws his ring at me. Like, our walk-in closet that we had that was organized was just a mess. My clothes are everywhere. It was really crazy. And that night, after he'd been restrained, after he calmed down, whatever, like that night, we were like getting ready for bed, and he said something like being smart, whatever. And so I was like, whatever, I'm leaving, right? And so I went to grab my phone and my keys and my wallet. He grabs all of it from me, and I have nothing. And it literally, like, not to be any type of disrespectful, but picture him like king of the hill, right? Like, where he has like very strong upper body and like smaller legs. He's just very, very, very strong upper body. And so he physically restrained me to where I couldn't leave. I didn't have my car keys. I didn't have my wallet. I think maybe at some point I got my phone back. Because I remember making a call for like a friend to check on me the next day, right? And mind you, I didn't really have any friends. So this is literally like one of the two friends that I had. And I just think back that how could I have been restrained by a man in a wheelchair? Like, how could I have been? But then I think about it as it was my mental. My mental was constrained. My mental, I didn't know I could say, no, I didn't want to marry you. I didn't know I could say, like, I could defend myself. I didn't know that I didn't have to stay in that situation. There have been so many times where I was just oblivious to things because I thought that's what love was. I thought that this is how a man shows he cares about you, when he doesn't let you get off the phone, when he controls your every waking moment. And I found out later that it's not, right? So after our confrontation, and he physically restrained me from leaving, I didn't fight. I didn't fight anymore. Like I said, at some point I had gotten my phone, and so I contacted a friend. I was like, hey, check on me tomorrow, like 911. And then that was it. And I turned my phone off. I remember going to bed, and I don't think I even slept that night, honestly. The next day, I needed to go to work, and he was going to work too. And I kissed him off to work. I was like, oh yeah, like, love you too. See you when you get home. We'll go grocery shopping. Cool. Right? But I had a plan. I wasn't going to stay there anymore. I felt unsafe. I felt very, very, very unsafe. And so instead of telling that person that I was leaving, I left. Like, I sorted through that walk-in closet, and I grabbed a couple pair of pants. I grabbed anything that I could, right? Because I left to go to work after him. I grabbed it all, and unfortunately I had a dog at the time that I had just rescued, so I had to go back for her later, or else I would have put her in my car and she would have been sitting in my car all day. Like, it was a big Rottweiler. I wasn't going to do that to her. And even at that time, I didn't even tell my mom and my dad. Nobody knew. And I think that was the hardest part. That was the hardest part for me, because nobody knew. So I didn't think to call my mom and dad to help me. And I have a great relationship with them. I didn't think to call anybody. I just felt like that was a very, like, I just thought that was a me problem. Like, that was just like, that's your problem, right? I don't, it's crazy because now what I did doesn't make sense. Like, certain things I did just don't make sense, but I am very proud of myself that I was smart enough to not tell that person I was leaving, but to plan my escape, right? And I left. Yeah, I packed a couple of things. I went to work. He was like, I acted like it was a regular day. Then time came for me to get off of work, and I would needed to be home by 5:30, because if I was up at 5 o'clock, it don't take me 30 minutes to get home. I live right down the street. It don't take me long. I had 70 some odd missed calls, 100 plus text messages in a 24-hour period. And I remember that. He was asking where I was. I was every BITC under this. I was every negative thing you could think of, right? And it was so bipolar that it was like, it was negative, then positive. I miss you, I love you. Oh, but come back. And then, then, oh, you're a being. Oh, who you like, it was so much. It was such a toxic relationship. Looking back at it, it was bad, right? And so as a broken woman, I ran back home to my mom and my dad, and I told them everything that I could. I told him everything that I could. And because again, I remember, like, I didn't know the conditions I was under. I didn't know how bad it was. So now I can easily, like, I could talk about it more, but back then I didn't know. Right. So it took me, like, I'm not even going to lie. It took me a good 6 years to really start to heal and, like, get over it. I say 2-3 years I was depressed. Oh, what? I was depressed. And I would say like a full 6 years or so for me to even, like, want to consider having a relationship again. And mind you, I spared you guys a lot of details. I just kind of gave you like a gist of it. But I just remember the saddest part of me omitting what was going on to me was my dad. And my dad feeling like he failed and feeling like, why couldn't you come to me? Why couldn't you talk to me? Why couldn't you, like, just tell me what was going on? Like, and I don't know why. Because I didn't think anything was wrong. I didn't know what I was going through was so bad. I thought this man loves me, So, so after that, after I got a divorce and all that stuff happened, even after then, he still was trying to control me and trying to say, you need to pay for the divorce, and, then I'll pay for all the electronics on the credit card. He ruined my credit. It was just so many things he was trying to do because he just tried to have control over me. And he was like, oh, let's have a baby. It'll make it better. No, it's not. And then I got into a really bad car accident where I should have died. And I ironically, I broke my ring finger. Like my ring finger was like broken and exposed and like bent and broken. It was crazy, right? I was in a rollover accident at 1 a.m. and my car was totaled. And by the grace of God, like, I survived. That's a story in itself. I survived. And from that, my car, I think I had paid it off at the time. So from that, the insurance company gave me $9,000 and I was able to restart my life. And that was April, May, I think. No, it had to be May because I left him end of March. April 1st was the day I left. And so it had to be May. So that happened. And I think May 10th, matter of fact. So yeah, so I was in a bad car accident and I should have died and I didn't, thank God. And I think that is when I had a trigger of, I don't want to have my obituary. I don't want my life to be, to not mean anything, right? And so from then on, I went through my depression. I went through my states of like, I don't want to be here. What is my purpose? I went through like a lot of ups and downs of just really doubting myself and doubting the woman that I was, and having to really rethink of and teach myself how to think positively and think for myself. I didn't even know what I wanted to eat. I always had to ask this man like what he wanted to eat, or he would tell me what we're eating. I never could think for myself. So from being in a relationship that is just structured that way to like being able to think for yourself is really hard. And I literally can't even explain it because it's unfathomable to me now. But oh gosh. I have the chills. I was in a car accident. And I had no friends. I lost my identity. I was very broken. I went through a phase where I call it sexually abusing myself. And I was just with people because I wanted them to tell me that they love me. I wanted them to be controlling. I was spazzing on people, spazzing on men if you didn't call me back. I was spazzing on men for crazy shit because I was so used to a man being controlling. If you weren't controlling me, that meant that you didn't care about me, that meant you didn't love me, that meant so many different things to me, and I was spazzing because I didn't know how to handle that. I didn't understand how to handle somebody who didn't want to talk to me, didn't want to be up under me, and didn't want to tell me what to do, and didn't treat me like a dog. Like, I didn't know how to handle that. So time went on. I got better. I do regret not going to therapy. I'm thinking about doing therapy again, just to have that. But I got through it. And then I guess I kind of decided, was triggered. I don't know what happened, but I'm really trying to just recall certain things too, because I really like suppressed a lot of those thoughts and like those feelings and like situations that happen. I've really repressed that because I don't want to be that person anymore. I know the type of woman that I want to be, and I know who I am. Thank you, God. I know who I am, and I know what I'm not going to be again. So I've just suppressed certain things, and I feel like I'm healed. Right? And I feel like you can never be truly healed. I feel like I'm healed and I'm working through it, but I'm not going to forget how broken I was before. And I decided to use that pain that I felt, where my heart hurt so bad from crying and from aching and from not wanting to be here and thinking I wanted to die, literally kill myself. I remember how that felt. And I never want to feel that again. I will never feel that again, right? So this is where I decided that I'm going to use that pain that I feel as my power. So as much as I hated myself, as much as I felt so abused and effed over and just not appreciated, and I just feel like a piece of shit. As much as I felt that way about myself, I said, no, I'm not going to think that way anymore. I'm not going to be that. I know I'm better. So I started putting myself into like my own kind of rehab. I started being on Instagram and exploring the world more. I have my dog now. I went back, and my cousin and my family helped me take my dog away from him. And so we were going on hiking. I was getting back to me by doing the things I love doing. Right? And, down the line, it ended up being a blessing for me. But all I can say is mental health is very important. We have to make a decision to be victorious and be the victors in situations and no longer the victims. I don't want to be a victim anymore, and I'm not going to be a victim anymore. And today, I am a healing woman. I am learning to be a softer woman. I want to have a family. I want to be a Proverbs 31 woman. And I feel like I don't want my past to hold me back anymore. And so now, because I don't want that, I'm dealing with insecurities as far as imposter syndrome and as far as doubting myself and my abilities, right? And I'm not going to do that anymore. So through this content, I'm going to build myself up. I'm going to show that you can be victorious through negative situations, and you can empower yourself even when you don't have somebody around you. Like, I didn't have people around me besides like my close family, my mom and dad, to like pat me on the back and tell me I'm doing good and to show me there's a brighter side, right? My parents had to leave me alone because they didn't know what to do. So I just feel like so much is off of my back now. And basically, I just really wanted to thank you guys for listening to my story, because I have so much to say, and I'm really fighting in this moment to be vulnerable and to omit like my past, because I'm no longer my past. I am my future, I am my present, and I'm going to start showing up as her. So thank you guys. Stay tuned for my next one. Not sure what that's going to be, but it will be more powerful and more motivational, and use your pain as your power, because we are no longer our past. Thanks, guys.